And whether you're single, newly dating, or in a long-term relationship, it's important to make sure you have a healthy relationship, even with yourself. So we've got Dr. Karen Reskin joining us next with helpful tips on Valentine's Day and really all year long. Thanks so much, Gina. Well, whether you are single, newly dating, maybe in a long-term relationship, married for years, it's important to make sure you have a healthy relationship at stages. So on this Valentine's Day, we have Dr. Karen joining us with some tips on success for not just today, Valentine's Day, but really all year long.
Yes, all year long. And what are the tips? First of all, it's imperative that you have what I call relationship consciousness.
Okay, what exactly is that?
That's about being fully present in the moment, seeing, looking, and hearing. We become blinded when we're in a relationship. So by being conscious of what are you inputting and what are you receiving, instead of creating a fantasy world, you are able to know exactly and experience and enjoy, plus see if there's potential concerns and downfalls. Next, let's think of this as a CPT approach.
Okay, what does that mean?
Okay, C, communication.
Okay.
P, physical. T, time.
Okay.
When I say communication, it's about affirming, kind, loving communication.
The good kind, not the critical kind.
That's right. And physicality, it's so important because if you think about the dual highway between mind and body, body and mind, if there's loving physicality, that's going to affect the emotional relationship. And if you're spending quality time together, that is also going to affect the relationship. So that trifecta affects the emotional connection between two people.
Okay.
All right. And finally, be your leader self. What's that, you might wonder? Well, we all have a critical side, an angry side, an anxious side. We have all these parts. If we act out those parts in a relationship with another person, that's not going to go well. How could you possibly build a relationship? But if your leader self, if you will, has a boardroom meeting with all those parts, those emotions, and speaks on behalf of the parts in a relationship, that is what builds trust and connection in any relationship. So overall, any relationship stage and phase of life, those are the 3 key tips.
Okay, I love that. And, you know, I think so many of us, especially when you're in a long-term relationship, we sort of, you know, just fizzle it out. We see that happen because you've been married so long. Let's talk about maybe in those phases, beginning with maybe let's talk about self-love and self-care, because that's really important.
I appreciate that. Okay, so quickie pointers for each stage. So to answer your question, single, what does that look like? Being single is all about self-love.
Okay.
Now, you can be in a relationship and think, well, no, I don't have to self-love anymore because someone else is going to love me. No, no, no. Self-love. And what I mean by self-love is, that's how am I communicating to myself? Am I saying kind things or mean things? How am I spending my time? Is it healthy with healthy activities or not? Am I being attentive to my body with kindness by doing active things, or am I not? So that is self-love. Even gifts, and gifts could be something small and simple, or something more lavish every now and again if you're able to afford such things.
I think I might have heard she said you could splurge on yourself today, just for today. Last but not least, I'm going to jump fast forward because we're just about out of time. Long-term relationship, what's your biggest tip there? Okay,
so when it comes to long-term relationships, just like as you move from being single to early dating to dating for a while to long-term relationships, whether married or not, the key is any stage. Do not take that relationship for granted and give it your everything. Meaning, are you being attentive? Are you spending time? Are you saying kind and compassionate things? Are you building a relationship? What are you doing? What are you putting in? It's mutual. Giving, receiving, both. Don't just take it for granted and sit back and think things are going to happen because you want them to.
We've got to keep putting our effort into it.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. You just had a free therapist lesson right now with Dr. Karen. We appreciate always the insight and the tips when you give us to better improve our relationships. Thank you, Dr. Karen.
My pleasure.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.